I'll let AJ go. All right. Let him warm Hubert up before I hit him with other stuff. I want a good Hubert. I don't want him just tiptoeing into the Michael, you got one?
I keep it real with you.
We'll start with Michael.
Well, Hubert, obviously, Ron Sanchez is his own coach, but he was a long-time assistant under Tony Bennett at Virginia. So how have you seen Virginia keep some of Tony's strategies, but also switch up their identity under Sanchez this season?
Well, first of all, I've got a great relationship with Coach Sanchez. We've been friends for a number of years, and I thought he did an amazing job at Charlotte University as head coach, and again, he's doing a terrific job in this role as well. In regards to Virginia, under Coach Sanchez, I think, from an offensive standpoint, they will push the ball a little bit more in transition, but they're still methodical in terms of their approach and what they want, where they want the ball to go to, and the shots that they want to get on the offensive end. And defensively, they've mixed in switching everything on the ball. That's something that normally they haven't done. But irregardless, whatever scheme that they play defensively, they do it well, and they do it consistently well.
I asked you after Duke where you thought the team was at that time. Now we got, 5 games left in the regular season and 3 weeks since then. Where do you think the team is right now? And where is there an area you think they've grown or maybe changed some, perhaps maybe in your approach with them or in any other area?
I don't really think about, where we are right now, especially in comparison to, a couple weeks ago. I do feel like defensively we've been more consistent. I think, the things that we have talked about that we needed to address before and moving forward is us consistently being able to defend, but really in 2 areas. 1, defending without fouling. 2, rebounding the basketball and finishing the possession with the box out. And then on the offensive end, just taking care of the basketball, and that comes in 2 ways. 1, just original turnovers, and number 2 is shot selection. And so I think we've gotten better in that regards, and but we still have a lot more to improve on moving forward.
Hubert, what would you say as you've looked back over the last couple of games, what have you seen as maybe the different dynamics of playing bigger lineups like you guys have done, bigger lineup combinations, maybe the benefits of going a little bigger? What have you noticed just in these last couple of games?
Well, the benefits of going bigger, first of all, helps us defensively. It just does. Playing Syracuse and also playing NC State, you've got guys at that position that they can shoot threes, but they can score in the paint and they can post up, and so those are positions specifically over the last 2 games that we haven't had a need to double team down low in the post. So that's huge. Also, playing a bigger lineup, it moves Drake more out there on the wing, and he's 6'6", 6'7", and so it's not just a bigger lineup in terms of quote unquote the 4 and the 5. It makes our whole lineup bigger, and maybe that's a result of us, rebounding the ball better. But it does change us. I would say more on the defensive end, but it really helps us defensively get stops and rebound.
You kind of don't put yourself at a disadvantage.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it is. We don't purposely do that.
Right. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, but it has really helped us the last couple of games. It really has.
I could follow up on that. When you defend another team's 4 when they're pretty big, when you're big, how does that help you actually defend the 5 if you only have to have 1 guy on the 4 and not have to double the 4 sometimes and sort of scramble some down there, and at times it's left guys wide open?
Well, I think it can go both ways. I think, from a standpoint of not having to double team another person, when you double team, you're putting yourself in rotations, and so you're putting yourself in long closeouts and different types of mismatches. And so from a defensive standpoint, that makes you vulnerable. On the other end, double teaming the post, whether it's one or two people, that gives us an opportunity to get steals and deflections, which something that we have needed to generate to be able to get out in transition. And so I think at times maybe it has hurt us, but I think there's also been some times where it's really been beneficial for us as well.
When it comes to Jay Witt, and we asked you about him at the teleconference, I believe, and you said his production kind of makes you guys, a different team, changes completely, I think. But when it comes to his approach to practice recently, what have you seen from him that, maybe has been different? Obviously, we've seen the production on the court, but has he been different in any way when it comes to practice and when it comes to, off the court? I guess, in other words, has a changed approach helped him be more productive?
I don't think his approach has changed. He's been, there's many benefits of having older, experienced players. There was a time during the season where he wasn't getting extended minutes, and he kept showing up and preparing and practicing and playing as hard as he could. And now that his number is called a lot more frequently, he was ready. And so, but I have said and I think also, this being his last year, there's a reflection of seeing it's February and that enjoying every moment, taking advantage of every day, whether it's a practice shoot around in a game. And, as I said before, when he plays well and he plays consistent, he completely changes our team from on both ends of the floor.
Hubert, how do you explain Seth becoming the team's best rebounder, and how do you view it in comparison with everybody else with him being a 6'3" guard?
Well, it confirms what I tell them, that rebounding has nothing to do about the physical size. It's the size of your will and want to out there on the floor. And so Seth leading our team in rebounding shows that, that pursuit of the ball, whether it's on the offensive, defensive end, is not assigned to someone who has length and height. And it also shows Seth, and just in terms of his versatility as a basketball player. I mean, he can handle the ball, he can distribute, he can shoot, he can drive. He's a 3-level scorer. He's a good defensive player, and then now he's leading the team in rebounding. It's just he checks a number of boxes, and then you can go on the other end and go, well, Seth is leading our team in rebounding. Others have to pick it up because we can't rely on Seth rebounding the basketball. And that goes in part with, last couple of games, having Whitmore at the 4 and Drake at the 3. And then you have Seth out there that's leading our team in rebounding. That really puts us in a good position on both ends of the floor to get second chance opportunities and then to limit the opposing team to one shot per possession.
Does Seth remind you of anyone rebounding guard from back in the day or recently?
He calls himself Jason Hart.
Okay. Or Josh Hart?
Josh Hart. That's what he says.
Jason Hart, Syracuse guard.
Yeah, Josh Hart. That's what, yes.
All right.
That's what he says. And I said,
And you're going along with that then?
If he keeps rebounding and playing as hard as him, and go for it. Even though he played on Villanova's team when we lost in 2016, let's go for it. Great player.
Yeah, going off that, Hubert, has that, you spoke to it a little bit, but has that changed the messaging with the big guys? Like, hey, look, Seth's 6'3" and he's leading the team in rebound. We got to, as far as kind of poking and prodding those guys to pick up what they can do.
Well, the messaging has been to the entire team. This is not, I said this last year, this isn't an Armando Bacot, Harrison Ingram rebounding game. It's a UNC rebounding game. And this is not a Seth Trimble rebounding game. Everybody has to get involved. Everybody has to rebound. And I emphasize on both ends. I'll give you something over the last, I think it's 2 or 3 games, Drake Powell has gotten 7 offensive rebounds. that's been huge for us. The prior 14 games, he totaled 7 offensive rebounds. So, like, just his pursuit of getting second chance opportunities, other guys are coming along, and it's really helping us out.
How much of that for Drake is coming in from the wing and having maybe different people to deal with too?
I don't know if it has anything from the wing, or playing bigger people. I think over the last 2 or 3 games, I've just been really proud of Drake's pursuit of getting us second chance opportunities. He's working really hard to get off box outs. His pursuit is, going after loose balls, and those second chance opportunities and giving us additional cracks on the offensive end have been really huge for us the last couple of games.
Growing up in Virginia, but with your ties to Carolina, what was this game like when you were a little younger?
Time to pray.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Wake up.
We're counting down over here, trust me.
Goodness. Well, I mean, obviously Virginia and North Carolina has a lot of history in terms of their matchups in the ACC, and me being able to watch them when my uncle was at Carolina, and me going to Charlottesville to see the Tar Heels play when I was growing up. So I have a number of memories going into those games, and really excited about the challenge of playing against a really good Virginia team tomorrow afternoon.
Hubert, I was going to ask you about Ben Allen. Lubin, he's taking on, seems like a bigger role here, especially as he's been starting. Just the way his season has gone, just in your eyes, the way he's developed.
Yeah, it's a big transition. I know, and the reason why I say that is, I was traded 3 times in the NBA, and it's an adjustment. You just can't go to another team and, there's new personalities, new relationships, new coaching, new terminology, and now you throw in, new surroundings and a new school, and you're doing that with 18, 19-year-olds. And so it is an adjustment. I think Vin has done a really good job of adjusting to coming here. He's such a joy to coach and be around every day, and, specifically over the last couple of games, just his consistency in terms of finishing around the basket, rebounding the basketball. He's a really good on-ball defender, and his ability to post up, especially smaller defenders, and be able to score has been really key for us.
RJ recently talked about playing with a joy. How important is that to play the game of basketball with a joy? Is that something you stress, or is that just something he's kind of taken on?
No, I stress that all the time. I tell the guys all the time, you have to find joy and enjoyment of how hard it is to be successful individually and as a team. This is hard work, but you have to find joy in being able to do something that you love at a place that you love with people that you love. And if that doesn't bring out an emotion of joy in you when you step out there on the floor, irregardless if it's a practice or a shoot around or a game, you're not meant to play basketball.
Hubert, the press was pretty effective against NC State, especially early in the game. When you're coaching, is there a telltale sign in the flow of the game that you look for as to when to deploy that, or is it just a feel thing?
No, I mean, I think it's a combination of both. I mean, dead ball, full court situations, that's a good time for us to maybe try it. If we get a steal, and able to score, that's also a nice time to be able to stay in it. And sometimes even after made baskets, just being able to put our guys in situations and positions to be able to get those steals and deflections, and kind of gives them life out there, and it gets us to play at the pace that we want. Even in the times that we didn't create a turnover, I felt like at times we sped other teams up where they would take quick shots, and that would allow us to get the rebound and be able to get out in transition. So it does a number of things for us, but I would say sometimes it's planned on when we're going to do it, and other times it's a feel on when we're going to do it and how much we stay in it.
Time for about 3 more questions.
Seems like you and Tony Bennett have always had a good relationship going back to the NBA days,
Yeah,
in the early 90s. Have you reached out to him since he retired? Have you guys spoken since he stepped down?
No, but I look forward to speaking to him after the season. I do have a really good relationship with him because we played against each other in the NBA. It's very difficult to have those conversations during the year, but the way that he coached, the way that he was an example for the University of Virginia and for those players, I just have tremendous respect for him.
Hubert, I wanted to go back to Monday at the conference call. You were asked about your plans with general manager and staff, and you didn't want to elaborate on it. I was a little bit confused about that. Has anything changed in your intent from what you said in the radio show? And is there any clarity you can kind of offer about what you said originally versus what you said Monday?
Yeah, I mean, nothing has changed, but I want to stay away from commenting about that position. I want to talk about basketball. That's the only thing that's on my mind right now is coaching and helping our team reach its full potential and be the best that it can be. And that's just where my focus is right now.
But just not that something had changed in your thinking, just you've moved on beyond you addressed it.
Yeah, I mean, I addressed it during the radio show, but the only thing on my mind now is, and it was the only thing on my mind then too, is this team and getting ready to be our best the rest of the season.
When you have a lineup of Drake, Jay Witt, and Lubin versus 4 guards, how does that change the spacing, half court, and how you attack?
I don't think it changes the spacing at all. I mean, you know, we want a combination of ball and player movement, and we want to have tremendous spacing, and so that, you know, from an offensive standpoint, one of the things that we always talk about is 0.5 mentality. You know, when you catch the ball, you got to shoot, you pass, or drive it, and in order to do that, you have to have great spacing. And so, irregardless out there on the floor, we have guys that have the ability to make impactful plays, whether it's on the perimeter or around the basket, whether through the pass, the dribble, or shooting the basketball. And that's one of the things that gives us that spacing on the offensive end.
Last one, Rod.
Hubert, a couple of the guys talked about Paxson and Harrison being back and being around practice, and you're always asking those guys to speak to the team when they come back.
They didn't want to speak.
They didn't want to speak?
They didn't want to speak. It made because when they were here, we had so many former players come back and speak, and it's just been 1 year removed, so they didn't want to feel old, like they were the old veterans, but it was great having them back. Just their presence. You talk about joy. Those are 2 guys that played with tremendous joy. Not just joy of playing basketball, but the joy of being here and being a part of a team. It's something that has driven them individually in their careers, and it's a huge reason why they've been successful as they've moved forward.
Thank you, Hubert.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody. Hubert, appreciate it.
See you guys later.
See you tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow.